How the non-homeostatic motivation connects to the movie Dead Man Walking. As death row inmate Matthew Poncelet nears his execution date, he calls upon Sister Helen Prejean to help him with one last appeal, maintaining that he is innocent of the murders of a young couple. Poncelet begins to form a bond with Prejean, and she visits both his family and relatives of the victims, hoping to learn more about the case. As things begin to look bleak for Poncelet, Prejean does all that she can to comfort and console the hardened convict. Non-homeostatic motivation. Homeostasis motivation may provide some explanation for life-sustaining behavior. The same explanation does not apply to other motivated behaviors. Among these are play, sexual behavior, curiosity, addiction, and risk-taking.
These additional types of motivations may be aided by the same neural, hormonal, and physiological mechanisms that contribute to homeostatic motivation. Curiosity is a state of increased arousal response promoted by a stimulus high in uncertainty and lacking in information. When compared to existing knowledge, the novel, uncertain, conflicting, or complex properties of external stimuli create a conceptual conflict that arouses the internal state of arousal called curiosity. Once curiosity has been aroused, the organism engages in a process of exploration to reduce the state of arousal. There are two basic types of curiosity, cognitive and sensory. Cognitive curiosity is the desire for new information, while sensory curiosity is the desire for new sensation and thrills. The exploration entails seeking new information to solve a problem through observation, consultation, directed thinking, and new sensory experiences and feels that extends one's knowledge into the unknown.
People too like to explore their environment, even when to do is potential life-threatening, as in the case of mountain climbing or space exploration. It does appeal to all people equally, however, according to homeostatically derived theories. If you have never climbed Everest, you should be desperate to rush up and to do so. Clearly, neural stimulation is not the only motivation here. Suggestions are that certain personality traits, such as sensation seeking or a need of achievement, may influence motivation, but these do not explain which specific activity rather than in another chosen. Curiosity and exploration have no simple explanation. When Sister Helen kept receiving the letters from Matthew Poncelet, a death row inmate, she went to the prison, meet him personally, and that was her first time visiting someone in the prison.
According to the arousal theory of motivation, each person has a unique arousal level that is right for them. When our arousal levels fall outside of these personalized optimal levels, we seek some sort of activity to get them back within our desired ranges. Examples of arousal theory include, if our arousal levels drop too low, we might seek stimulation by going out to a nightclub with friends. If our arousal levels become too elevated and we became overstimulated, we might be motivated to select relaxing activities such as going for a walk or taking a nap. Arousal can be mental, emotional, or physical, sometimes referred to as three parts of arousal theory or the three types of arousal. We became overly aroused, we seek soothing activities that help calm and relax us. If we became bored, we search for more invigorating activities that will energize and arouse us. It's all about striking the right balance, but the balance is unique to each individual.
Why is arousal theory important? One of the assertions of this theory of motivation is that our levels of arousal can influence our performance. But again, balance is key. Higher arousal levels can sometimes help us perform better, but they can also impair performance if arousal levels are too high. This concept is commonly referred to as the Yerkes-Dodson law. The law states that increased levels of arousal will improve performance, but only up until the optimum arousal level is reached. At that point, performance begins to suffer as arousal levels increase. Additionally, if you're doing a complex task, high or low levels of arousal will affect you more than if you're doing something simple. Most students have experienced this phenomenon when taking final exams. Increased arousal can lead to better test performance by helping you stay alert, focused, and attentive. But excessive arousal can lead to test anxiety and leave you nervous and unable to concentrate. When arousal levels are very high or very low, performance tends to be worse.
Human sexuality refers to people's sexual interest and attraction to others. It is the capacity to have erotic or sexual feelings and experiences. Sexuality differs from biological sex, and that sexuality refers to the capacity for sexual feelings and attraction, while biological sex refers to one's anatomy. Biology, hormones, and genetic are classified typically as male, female, or intersex. Sexuality is also separate from gender identity, which is a person's sense of their gender or social cultural classification. Based on biological sex, it is also distinct from although it shapes sexual orientation or one's emotional and sexual attraction to a particular sex or gender. Sexuality may be experienced and expressed in a variety of ways, including thoughts, fantasy, desires, belief, attitude, values, behavior, roles, and relationship. This manifests themselves not only in biological, physical, and emotional ways.
Some researchers believe that sexual behavior is determined by genetics. However, others assert that it is largely molded by the environment. Human sexuality impacts and is impacted by cultural, political, legal, and philosophical aspects of life, and can interact with issues of morality, ethics, theology, spirituality, or religion. Just like food, sex is an important part of our lives. From an evolutionary perspective, the reason is obvious: the perpetuation of the species. Sexual behavior in humans, however, involves much more than reproduction. This section provides an overview of research that has been conducted on human sexual behavior and motivation. Social biologists would argue that the individual should be motivated to pass on his or her genes, but obviously, this motivation does not apply to all people.
Addiction is an inability to stop using a substance or engaging in a behavior even though it is causing psychological and physical harm. The term addiction does not only refer to dependence on substances such as heroin or cocaine. Some addictions also involve an inability to stop partaking in activities such as gambling, eating, or working. The American Society of Addiction Medicine defines addiction as a treatable chronic medical disease involving complex interactions among brain circuits, genetics, the environment, and an individual's life experiences. People with addiction use substances or engage in behaviors that become compulsive and often continue despite harmful consequences. Many people, but not all, start using a drug or first engage in an activity voluntarily. However, addiction can take over and reduce self-control.
Drug addiction and drug misuse are different. However, not everybody who misuses a substance has an addiction. Addiction is fact or condition of being addicted to a particular substance, thing, or activity. For example, a person who drinks alcohol heavily on a night out may experience both the euphoric and harmful effects of the substance. However, this does not qualify as addiction until the person experiences chronic relapsing disorder characterized by compulsive drug-seeking continued use despite harmful consequences and long-lasting changes in the brain. There is substance addiction and non-substance addiction. Some examples of non-substance addiction include gambling, food, internet gaming, cell phone, sex. Someone with addiction will continue to misuse the substance or activity in spite of the harmful effects it has. Matthew Poncelet is addicted to cigarettes. When speaking with others, such as Sister Helen, he simply continues to smoke.
When Matthew Poncelet and Carl Vitello committed the heinous crime, both of them were intoxicated. Alcohol severely impairs an intoxicated person's judgment, causing them to take risks and commit actions that they never would have otherwise. It also makes them more likely to be talked into something that they otherwise wouldn't need. Alcohol also makes many people belligerent, angry, and prone to violence. This combination of factors makes it more likely that crimes will be committed. However, in no way does alcohol excuse illegal behavior. It just makes it more likely. Some of the most common crimes that are more likely to happen under the context of alcohol. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you again.